Okie dokie. Here we go. Okay, so this guy printed last night. Took around uh almost 13 hours to print him. He's pretty big. I gotta give you an idea of how large he is. That's how big it is, right? It's hefty. When you hold it, this base is got a little bit of weight to it. And yeah, it's solid. When you put it on any surface, on this surface right here, it just there's no balance problems. It's perfect. And when you do 3D work and you design stuff like that, you don't really know how that's going to end up. And you work for it. You know, you try to keep it balanced or whatever. But anyway, so all in all, it printed flawlessly. And after all my false starts with the other ones with a separate character on a different base, he printed really good. Only problem I had was that this thing, this is typical of 3D printing, just so you know. This piece of Merle's knife at the end of his arm broke off when I was cleaning it. Right. This is standard 101 problems with so I'm gonna have what I'm gonna do is go back and I'm going to make this thicker because it's got to stand up and it's got to be thicker than it would normally be in real life, right? So anyway, so what I'm going to do now is kind of just go through the painting process. You could paint this in a way that is full color, right? You could do that. And I know that some people are awesome painters and it takes a long time. To paint this guy, you'd probably spend a couple days painting him, maybe, you know. But I like to paint my figures in a different way. I like to paint them. I don't know why the water's over here. I like to paint them in silver. So they're basically silver. And it pulls out all the detail, which I love. It's almost like I always like to equate to something like a Rembrandt statue, not Rembrandt, Remington statue, right, where you have the horses and whatnot. So the first thing I like to do, although it's printed black, and that's actually intentional and very helpful, I like to paint it with use acrylic paint and paint him with one small coat of black. And this way, the silver paint that I put on is going to adhere better. You know, some people do this with spray painting. You know, I've never had much success with that process because it always looks grainy, and I don't like that. I'm sure there's a way to do it that works, but I've not yet figured it out. So yeah, I like to give like a nice coat of acrylic black paint, simple acrylic of black paint all over the figure. And then I'm going to go on and put the silver on. And the silver I'm going to do in steps. I'm going to do it like super dark silver first. And then I'm going to slowly build it up. And I don't want to have too many layers on this, just to be honest with you here. To me, that doesn't work. I like to, you know, if it's too silvery, it's going to look, it just doesn't look right. So personally, I like to do like a silver, I don't know what you would describe it as, just a dark silver, like a dark to medium silver. Dark pewter, maybe was you call it. Yeah. So anyway, so I'm gonna have to go back. I want to paint this one just so people can see what it looks like. But I'm gonna go back and thicken up that knife on Merle because I don't like having those problems, and it's totally solvable. It's a solvable issue, you know. So the bummer about doing that is I'm going to have to go back and do all the supports again, right? And you're like, oh man, that's a lot of work. A lot of work. Um, and it probably took me from the time I finished the print this morning to cleaning it up and pulling all the supports off of it. You know, it's an hour's worth of work to do that, probably something like an hour. Um, so, I mean, you think it's like a plug and play kind of thing, but it really isn't. You know. Um, great. So let's get some black on this guy. And what I'm going to end up doing is I like to use a hair dryer because that will, it's the fastest way to get it to dry. I'll turn my mic off when I do it for obvious reasons, but, um, and there we go. And it's going to look different when it dries. I'm going to get some black down there. So when I do the dry brush, I use very little amount of black of paint on the brush, and that's how I slowly build it up. If you do too much, it's going to look like you painted the silver on there, and you don't want that. You want it to be um, dry brushed on there. So make sure I get this crossbow. The crossbow came out really good. Hard to tell right now because it's got a bunch of paint on it and whatnot, but it's the strings are just thick enough to be strong. They're not going to break, and that was always a concern with this character. He was definitely. I wanted that crossbow, and I wanted the strings. I was going to do uh, like some kind of black fishing wire or something, but I realized that's also problematic because you have to connect it to the figure that you printed. So, you know, everything's a trade off. So this way, the base, everything is one piece, right? And you end up getting, let me clean this up. You end up getting, what? You end up getting everything you want in one print, which is really cool. That's ideal in my mind. And I don't think that when people buy stuff like this, I don't think they want to like mess around with, you know, putting things together with glue or whatnot. To me, it's always easier if you give them one thing. So I'm gonna mute so I can blow dry this. What's up, Fanta? Yeah, no, I have the I'm blow drying this paint on this figure, so I had to turn because I'm using the blow dryer, so I turned it off. I turned my mic off so you can't hear it. That's why. Okay, he's pretty dry now. There's a spot inside his vest that is still wet. See if I can dry it out a little bit. Yeah, that's always tricky. You can sort of see inside. I had to fill it up with a shape right there, just so you wouldn't have hollow spaces right inside there. So, oh, thanks, Fanta. Yeah, just from painting him too, just putting the paint on the figure, the the um the finish on him already looks totally different. So this is the paint I use, typical bottle of paint, right? This is a airbrush metal acrylic paint, and I'm going to I might use a brighter one after that, but this is pretty good. This is what I put. I dry brush on the figure. I thought about doing like a bronzish type kind of thing, which is always a possibility, or in this case, a greenish, like a little greenish hue. But it never really seems to work for me. I don't know why that is. Um, I always go back to, wow, that actually works. I'm going back to what actually works. And what always seems to work is this uh, silver. It just seems to be classic. It doesn't have, um, sorry, it doesn't have other. It's not distracting, and it because the thing I think personally, I think the thing that you want to look at is the detail on the figure. That's my personal philosophy about something like a stand statuesque kind of thing. So I think that finding something that like a color that brings that out, that doesn't get in the way of you, excuse me, looking at the figure and the detail. That's what I'm looking for, right? Yeah, you could paint it, but that would take you days to paint one. Okay, so and you'd also have to be skilled like crazy to do it. So I'm not. I'm an okay painter of figures, but I'm not. I don't think I'm that good. Um, and I probably would be by the time I end up doing a couple of them. I'd be freaking master, right? But who's got time for that, right? Anyway, I like this. I like this approach because, yeah. So and the camera, that silver looks pretty bright, but it's actually not. Um, it's I want it to be the first layer to be kind of dark, like a dark silver. And even though I have it on my brush, I'm going to wipe it all off. I'm going to get it to the point where there's barely any of it on my brush. And I'm kind of doing that right now off camera. You can't really see it, right? But because I don't want streaks from the brush to be on the figure. I want it to be very little. So kind of wipe it off here. This is how I did my Shadowpunk figures, and it was I'm actually working on a way that I could do a silver, paint them white, and then do like a silver, but I haven't figured out exactly how to make that work. So let's see if you can see it. I'm gonna slowly build it up. Go all over this guy. It's really a tricky thing because if you do it wrong, you end up, it doesn't look right. It looks like there's paint on top of the thing instead of the thing being made out of silver, right? Already, boom, pow. Hey, Mrs. Good Stuff, what's up? Oh yeah, I'll turn so you can see his face. Yeah. We do a little painting of the face. You can sort of see it come out. I don't know how close you can get with the camera. It's gonna get, because of my background, it's gonna get blurry. Right about there is probably as close as you can get until the camera becomes blurry, right? But you sort of get it. So this is my process of painting the figures, all hand painted, right? I thought about using an airbrush to do it, but there's other problems with airbrushes because you need to do it in an environment where that paint, you don't breathe the paint, and it also doesn't stick. Like right now, it would be all over my computer and whatnot. I'd be like, what the fuck, right? So, you know, I don't want to do that. But yeah, so this is the way I do it, and this is a little more paint here, right? So that's getting there. I like to do it on my hand sometimes to see if it's correct. There's a little water there. Not good. Right. But you can sort of see how this simple silver brings out all the details of the figure. So far, to me, it's the best way to do it. I want people to get the figure and go and put that on their desk and just look at the detail. That's the goal. There's Fanta's sign, Terminus. How do you like that? You are written into history, Fanta. And Pixel Trader had the idea of making that zombie into Merle, so I'll give that credit to him. That was a really good idea. Get the machete to pop. And you want to be careful. I like to be careful with how far I go with this, right? It's hard to get it in that hole. I'm going to mix a little more paint. Boom, 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 boom. Let's see. Yeah, that's freaking way too much paint. Yep, that's your sign, Fanta. I liked it. Sometimes, artists tend to, we cannot see the forest for the trees. This is the logic with someone editing your comic book too, the logic behind it. You can't see. Sometimes you're working on something. You don't really, you take so much energy to focus on building the crossbow or making the face look accurate to the actual character, right? So you need somebody. Sometimes it helps to have somebody on the outside to walk by and go, you know what you could do. And I don't discount that at all. I generally like to do everything on my own, but I'll take a good idea, and I think that proves it. That's a good way of doing it. Yes, it's hard to get it in the hole. Thank you. Let's see. The crossbow really came out cool. I was really concerned about it being thin and fragile, but I think it's actually going to work out pretty good. Um, Let me add a little more silver now. That's too bright. Too faint. That's way too much paint. Son of a gun. Yeah, the second you put on too much paint is the second you know that you put on too much paint. It's quickly obvious. Um, and so, yeah, there we go. A little more pop. A little more pop to things. See the mud on Merle's face. It looks great. I'm always like, I mean, this is the most detailed figure I've ever done. But even with my less detailed figures, when I painted them, I would be like, whoa, this is cool, right? I mean, artistically, it's pretty awesome to make something and print it and hold it in your hand. To me, that is a new deal. Short of sculpting in clay back in the day or whatever, right? I mean, you never got anything like this. And now people can actually, people like, even if you don't do it, like if I did a 3D figure for somebody, they could actually have their idea on their desk. And that's a cool thing. To me, that's idea to real world. Boom. There you go. And I think that's something I think CG needs. They need more of that. Even if even if I'm not the one that does it, right? I mean, people have their own action figures made and whatnot. And it's just so awesome. It's just so awesome to see ideas come to life. Let's see. I don't know. Yeah, it's getting close. For you guys, it's way brighter than it is in real life right now. In real life, this thing is not as shiny as it looks right there. Oh, thanks, Doug. Yeah. But yeah, I want almost like one of the things I added on this guy was these little stitches you can on the side of his vest and his jacket, right? You can't, it's hard to see him. There you go. There you go. You see him, right? The holes in the machete come out really nice. Um, I added little stitches along the seam of the pants. That was one of those things where I'm like, that's going to be a small detail, but it's going to pay off. It's going to be a nice nuance. The knife, see if I can get that knife to pop. Sometimes I debate whether or not I should paint something like that knife pure silver, right? But I don't know. Oh, thank you. My holes are awesome. Yeah, I wonder if I should make that's painted silver, but then you get into this whole balance thing where if the knife is silver, then you've got to balance it with other silver things on the figure, pure silver things, right? Um, and that's tricky because you better have things you can actually paint silver. You can't paint anything pure silver because it won't make sense. So I kind of abandoned that idea. I said, you know what? It's better just to make it pure. Let people find their own details when they look at the thing. Because you could make his belt buckle, the buckles on the straps. Um, oh yeah, look at that detail on the back of the head coming out. Oh, I'm sorry, you can't even see it. Um, right, right. Yeah. So the way, wow, look, you can even see all the detail on the camera. That looks awesome. Right, there we go. This is how I painted Fanta's Shadowpunk figure and her Cyberfrog figure. Exactly this way. The cool thing about this figure is that it's hefty. It sits solid. It's not going anywhere, right? Unless you knock it down or something. Yeah, the camera does pick up everything really well, but yeah, so I would look at this right here is probably 30% brighter than it is in real life. In real life, it's way more balanced. And the camera is just blowing it out because it's, the camera. It is what it is, And it's a pretty good camera too, but, it's like you would think that it wouldn't be so blown out. You would think that on these StreamYards or on the camera setup, you'd be able to control exposure. Okay, I'm just saying out loud, you should be able to control the exposure. I mean, why not? See, in the hole, I got a little bit in the hole. It's getting there. I don't want to go too far. He's actually almost, I would say right now it's perfect until I mess it up and put too much on, which is pretty typical of artists to do, to go too far. But I've done that in the past, so I should know better. Don't do it, Matt. Don't mess up the thing that you spent 13 hours printing. And then because you want to make it look stupid or something. And extra glossy. Yeah, he looks fucking kick-ass. Whoa. Yeah. If seeing him in real life is even better. I'll take a photo and post it. Maybe the photo will give a better representation because it looks pretty good right there. Yeah, the wrinkles in the pants. I mean, that is when I'm 3D modeling, I want those real effect things. I want the wrinkles in the pants from the straps. This is most 3D modelers do that, right? But it's something that you focus on and you don't focus on. Even like the shirt overlapping the belt buckle. Like I thought, that's a nice nuance. Back here, I've got you hard to tell, but you can see the shirt coming out of the belt, right? It's just, it all adds up in my mind. See if you can see his face. Yeah, he's totally blown out. There we go. Not too shabby, I can say. Only thing is that this freaking blade, right? For this one, I can glue it just so I have it, But yeah, when I broke it, I'm thinking around, cleaning and getting all the supports off it, and I'm like, son of a bitch, right? You're home free. You printed it. It printed really good. Everything is all the pitfalls are jumped over, right? And then you're like, son of a, that thing broke, and I broke it because I was dumb. I broke it because I was stupid, right? Overzealous. That's what it was. I was overzealous. Thanks, Fanta. Thank you. I'm really happy with him. I gotta tell you, as a person that I think all artists are like this. Like you work on your comic book and you can't wait for the day where your book is done and you can hold it in your hand, right? That's a big deal for comic book artists. You're like idea, product in hand. That is an awesome feeling. And the day that I figured out I could do 3D figures and print them, and I could actually make them and that I could hold it in my hand, that's a big deal. That's a huge deal. And the thing is, I was talking about this last time, the printers are cheaper and cheaper, and they're better and better and faster. So this guy took 13 hours to print, right? And another, another 3 hours to clean up and paint, right? But that time's going to be cut down big time. I think the new printer I'm looking at is almost twice as fast, right? So you can print them and you can do it, man. and that's an awesome feeling. So anyway, um, yeah, I mean, if I wanted to, and what would happen is I would go, okay, I'm going to make certain things pure silver. I'm going to make the zipper, the knife. I'm going to make things on the crossbow, the buckles, and all that stuff. I'm going to make that silver, and then it's going to look, wow, that's really cool. The first couple ones, and then by the time you're done doing all the silver things, you're like, I shouldn't have done that. It doesn't look as cool as it did before. And it's just a thing I've learned. I know it sounds illogical a little bit, but it's the lesson I've learned because it's hard to unpaint something, right? It's really hard because once you do it, it's kind of on there. Yeah, I could put black on top of something that I painted silver, but now you have the more layers of paint you put on something like this, the more you lose because you end up getting glob on the surface of the figure, and you don't want that. You want the paint to almost be invisible thickness wise. You just want it to be like almost like it's cast in steel or something like that. And that's kind of where this is right now. I could add a little more silver to that crossbow. Hard to tell with you guys on the camera now, but yeah, a little more silver to the crossbow. Yeah, I see. It's just gonna bring out the detail just a bit. You know, it's a tricky deal. Making that work is a tricky deal. Let me tell you. So I'm gonna end up selling these and trying to figure out how much I'd be able to sell them for, just to CG people. You know, if anybody actually wants one, I'm going to put my sticker on the bottom, my little trademark sticker, Shadowpunk trademark sticker, which, by the way, is neat. It's really neat to have a Shadowpunk, just like that logo right there. To put that on my thing is sort of like my thing. That's really neat. That's like a little thing. So I'm just saying. I don't know. Can you? You can see it. Welcome. You can see welcome almost to Atlanta below it. Right? And you can sort of definitely can see Terminus. That paint worked out pretty good. My attempt to make it look like spray paint or something, right? It kind of looks like a graffiti-esque kind of thing, which is cool, you know. Let's see if I can get this. There's a little thing in there. These supports, by the way, you never get rid of all of them. And they're always there, and you're like, what the heck? Yeah, you can't see it on camera, but yeah, there's a little thing down there. That's one of the things. The supports and doing that process is a whole thing unto itself, and I spare people the agony of figuring that out. But when it works, it's beautiful. It's a thing of beauty. There's no doubt. So there it is, guys. What do you think? Very proud of my Daryl Dixon figure statue. Awesome. Thanks, Fanta. Awesome. So I guess I'm going to be posting some images, some better high-res images that aren't blown out from the camera so people can sort of see what it really looks like. But let me know what you think. I am pretty psyched up for it. I'm very happy with the way it came out. I do want to do a Batman figure, and that is a decent commitment of time. So I'm working on my book right now. I'm writing the Shadowpunk book, and number 2. And so I want to do that, and I want to make a Batman figure. And Batman figure will probably be something comparable to this. The trick is going to be with the Batman was going to be his cloak, right? I mean, I don't want the cloak would be like I don't want the cloak to be like that, because if you end up doing that, it's going to take a bazillion years to print, and the whole thing is just kaput, right? So I got to figure out a really cool Batman pose. There's a lot of different Batman versions of Batman. Like there's Batman Year One, Batman Dark Knight, right? one of my favorites that nobody really knows about is Batman. I think it's year 100, and it was done back in the 05s, 06, maybe something like that. And it's like a urban, like a Blade Runner Batman kind of a thing. I don't know how else to really describe him, but it's a different guy, and they never really explain to you why he is Batman. But I want to do him, but nobody would really recognize him as much. So I'm thinking I'm going to do a classic, kind of a classic Batman. Um, Kind of what you would think of is like I like my favorite version of Batman. One of them is Brian Boland from Killing Joke. I like the way that he does him. He looks sinister. I kind of like that factor. Not everybody does a great Batman figure, Batman design when they draw them. I'm not going to name names, but not everybody does a good job, and it is what it is. Ethan has a good Batman. So I might do something like his Batman, because he also has like a Brian Boland kind of deal going on, where he's kind of a sinister looking. Kind of reminds me of Sienkiewicz Batman, but that's getting deep in the weeds there. So anyway, well, anyway, guys, thanks for stopping by and checking out my figure. I'm glad I was able to show you the process of printing and painting. And I'm very proud of him. Cool. All right, guys, take care. Bye.